Hello everyone, it is that time of the year again. It's the time when we sit down and we make predictions. And we make predictions that are well thought out and other ones that are just random luck of the draw.
I think you gave me this list maybe 20 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at this list maybe 5 minutes ago. So that's how much time I've put into this.
So if you're new to this format, what we do is I am a lifelong NASCAR fan. So when it comes to these playoff predictions, it's removing emotion and all of that stuff and just looking at the numbers and trying to guess and predict what is going to happen during the playoffs. And then I'm also joined by someone such as my wife Jordan, who is a NASCAR novice. So most of these names probably couldn't pick out the driver if I showed you a picture of them.
Nope. I would say that after 8 years,
Mm-hmm.
8 years of being in a relationship together, I think I have gotten to the point where if you showed me a picture of maybe 5 of the drivers, I would be able to tell you.
Just the top people, like the Corey LaJoys, the Joey Logano's,
Yeah.
the Dale Earnhardts.
But yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go through a couple of different categories and give our choices for that category. So first off, we're going to go with playoff spoiler. So every year there is someone outside of the playoffs that comes along and spoils the show. Last year we actually got to see AJ Allmendinger spoil the show at the Roval. So it's always pretty exciting to see these people that, you know, they don't have an opportunity for the championship, but they can jump in and play spoiler. During the playoffs this year, we have wild cards like the Roval, Watkins Glen, Talladega, Atlanta. Then you have other tracks that's just in the past couple of years, there's just been chaos during them, just randomly. So going into it, there's plenty of opportunities for there to be multiple spoilers. I want to go with my heart, and I want to say that Corey LaJoy will get Spire, win before he leaves. But I feel like number one, their car just hasn't, the team hasn't been performing this year. Hasn't gotten the results they wanted. Number two, I feel like I always jinx Corey LaJoy. So I'm not going to choose Corey. I hope he wins, but I'm not going to choose him. But who I will choose is Kyle Busch. He's coming off of 2 second place finishes back to back. I think Kyle is going to he might pick up 2 or 3 wins. But I think definitely he will pick up a win during the championship chase. And he will extend, I think it's 20 years of him winning in the Cup Series. So I'm going to go with Kyle Busch as a spoiler.
I will say, in regards to your choice there, that in the past few races where Kyle Busch has almost won, there's been comments made by Brandon that were along the lines of, I used to wish that Kyle Busch would have wrecked in the first lap. Now I'm happy to see him towards the end. So I feel like Kyle Busch has really turned a new leaf in your life.
He has.
In your fandom of him. I feel like you have a new appreciation for him.
It's the Richard Childress effect.
But my spoiler alert, I wrote it down, and I don't want you to see any of my names because I want them to be a surprise.
Okay, I won't look.
My spoiler, I went with yours, Corey LaJoy. Just because Ross Chastain was on that list. And that's who I chose last year as the champion. Mm-hmm. But I was like, you know, he's a little on the nose for me, a little on brand. So I'm going to take a little page out of Brandon's book, and I'm going to go with Corey LaJoy. And Tuis, his last year racing with that team, correct?
Yeah.
I don't want to misspeak. But it's his last hoorah to kind of kick it into high gear, as the racers say. So I feel like he is the spoiler for me.
What racetrack do you think he'll win at?
Oh gosh, you did not prepare me for that. I needed 6 minutes for that question.
Just name a random racetrack you've been to.
The Roval.
Oh, okay.
But that's because it's my favorite. Yeah, you heard that right, folks. Controversy. The Roval is my favorite racetrack. Maybe for all of us non-racing fans, the Roval might be our favorite racetrack. You ever thought about that?
All the haters out there.
All the haters love to hate.
So our next category, we're looking at the first 4 out of the playoffs. And with this one, you usually have a couple of people that you expect to be knocked out. There's always that surprise that just shocks you that they are out in the first round. So what I went with was Harrison Burton, which I feel like everyone's going to say that because he's last in driver's points. I will say, though, with Atlanta coming up, anything could happen. But I've got him. I've got Joey Logano. He just hasn't had the Joey Logano season that we're accustomed to. I think he finished the regular season 15th in points. Joey can always jump up there and surprise you, but with how he's running, I think Joey's eliminated. Next up, I think Austin Cindric is out in the first round. And lastly, I don't want to see it happen, but I think that with how their team's been performing, I think that Martin Truex Jr. is out in the first round.
Are you sure that you didn't look at my thing and mix it up?
Who do you have?
So for my eliminated, so that's what we're doing.
Yeah, the
right?
first 4 eliminated.
First floor eliminated. First floor. First 4 eliminated. Christopher Bell. I've got it out for you, Christopher. Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, and Tyler Reddick.
Oh, those are some interesting picks.
You know, Christopher Bell, after he wrecked Daniel Suarez at the Roval, I've had it out for him. Denny Hamlin, I don't know. He's the one that everyone loves to hate.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with that. Brad Keselowski, I feel like he's not done anything to wow me. Tyler Reddick, I can't even say his name. Tyler Reddick, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Hasn't done anything to wow me.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of people would point to Tyler Reddick as someone who has wowed people since he did win the regular season championship.
Didn't wow me. I didn't hear about this championship.
It takes more than being the best driver over 26 races to wow Jordan.
Yep, sure does.
Some interesting choices.
Mm-hmm.
I think what's interesting is like you said earlier, there are drivers that you look at and you're like, oh, okay, I know a little bit about Joey Logano or like Denny Hamlin. You're like, okay, I know a lot of people don't like him, but I also know that he is like up there at the front. But then there's other people that you just look like Reddick and you're like, that guy's name. There's just something about it that just.
Well, he's the one with red hair and the Monster sponsor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know, just his face. Just doesn't. I don't know.
It's not a personal shot at all. Tyler Reddick, you might be a great driver, but your face, sorry.
Just something about it.
Moving on, our final 4 picks. These are the drivers that are going to survive the 9 races and go to Phoenix and race for a championship. My choices, I've got Kyle Larson, I've got Chase Elliott, and then I've got Christopher Bell. I have him over Tyler Reddick.
Wait a second. I'm going to push you off of this stool. You chose Christopher Bell, and you know how I feel about him.
Every year, he finds a way to survive. And then my final choice, I felt like when you're choosing your final 4, you've got to represent all the manufacturers. So I went with Ryan Blaney. I feel like out of all the Fords, he's been the strongest. I think he's going to go to Phoenix, and he's going to attempt to go back-to-back championships. Who are your final 4?
My final 4, I just can't say final 4.
It's been a long day.
It has been, clearly, by the state of my hair. I feel like the taller that my hair gets, the more tired I am. So my choices for the final four: Ryan Blaney, just because one, I like him, and two, the yellow on his car is my favorite shade of yellow. Martin Truex Jr.
Mm-hmm.
I picked him for Levi because Levi, our nephew, is a huge Bass Pro Shops fan, so that's why I chose him.
Mm-hmm.
Joey Logano, just because I'm a fan of his glasses. And of course, I had to go with my favorite driver, Daniel Suarez.
So you think Suarez is making it to the Final Four?
Yes. I had to think about it because I was like, is his name on that list? Yes. His name is on that list that you sent me, the final 16. So he's going to be in the Final Four. And you know what? He's my champion. He's who I picked to win it all. Viva Los Suarez.
Well, my champion pick, I'm going to go with Kyle Larson. I feel like he's been super fast all year long. And I feel like sometimes with these choices, it does start creeping into who do I want to see like win the championship. But then I start looking at how so many of my favorite drivers are not even in the playoffs. So then I realize, oh, well, I have to remove emotion from that. So I just start thinking, if it came down to Phoenix and I had to bet everything I owned on a driver, I'd go with Kyle Larson. I feel like him and it's Crew Chief Daniels. I feel like they're just, it's hard to beat them. And then finally, our final category is story. What is going to be the big story coming out? And I've got a twofer. I think that on track, I think when it comes to the playoffs, last year we saw Ross Chastain. We saw Ross Chastain win at Phoenix, kind of spoiling the show. I think that this year, none of the championship contenders win at Phoenix, but I think that they don't even finish in the top 5. I feel like you're going to have a lot of just spoilers up there for that last race. And I think off the track, we still have a couple of like silly season rides open. I think that by the end of Phoenix, we're going to have some shocking people moving teams still.
What's a silly season?
So silly season is what they call when people start moving rides. Like when they announced that Corey LaJoie was not returning to the 7, or that Michael McDowell was going to the 71, or that Stuart Haas was just shutting down their entire team. That's what they call silly season, is whenever drivers and teams start moving around.
Well, it's not silly at all. I don't like that. Choose a different name. Confusion era is what it should be called.
Well, there you go.
The confusion era. So my story is, picture it, the racetrack. They're racing at Phoenix.
Yeah.
Phoenix, you say? This is where this setting is happening.
Mm-hmm.
So they're in Phoenix, in the desert. It's hot. There's some cactus. Maybe a vulture. Who knows? Maybe a scorpion. There's... How many people are on this track at this race?
Probably between 36 to 40.
So, let's just say 40.
Mm-hmm.
Of those 40 people, 30 of them have been eliminated. So there's only 10 race cars out on this track in the final laps. It's neck and neck. Everybody is ready to win. They're doing what it takes. It's this person's in first, and then this person's in first, and then this person's in first. It's back and forth. Constant. Changing by the second.
Okay.
The announcers are going crazy because they can't even keep up with it.
Yeah.
With how much this is changing. All of a sudden, the last lap, all of these race cars are lined up neck and neck.
10 wide.
Whoa. 10 wide across the track. Impossible, you say? Maybe. But that's Phoenix for you. So they're going. Boom, boom. That's what a race car sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
In case you didn't know. So as they're vying for this top spot, there's this huge crash.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta have the sound effects. So there's this huge crash. Everybody's like, oh no, what's going on? Who's in first? What's on second? Where's on third? All of a sudden, the smoke clears. Daniel Suarez is on the roof of the car. Like, the car is turned over.
Yeah.
He's not standing on the roof, but the car is turned over on its roof. And it is skirting into the finish line. And he wins. On his roof. That's how the story goes.
That's an interesting story to look out for. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the playoffs shape up. Let us know what you think. Did we get it right? Did we get it wrong? Let us know, and we'll see how the playoffs go. Thanks for joining us.